I wasn't even supposed to be on Tinder that night. It was one of those evenings when I felt restless, scrolling through my phone just to distract myself from the silence of my apartment. I wasn't looking for anything serious. Half the time I just swiped for the fun of it, giggling at weird bios and cringing at shirtless selfies. And then it happened. His face. Familiar. Too familiar. I froze with my thumb midair. My chest tightened, and I swear my heart actually skipped a beat. I blinked, convinced it had to be some kind of glitch. Maybe someone using stolen photos. But no, there he was. Fresh picture, new haircut, the same smirk I'd seen 100 times at family dinners. My sister's husband, Kirill. For a moment, the whole world went quiet. My mind went blank, then flooded with disbelief. No, this can't be real. He wouldn't. He couldn't. But the more I stared, the more obvious it became. This wasn't a catfish. It was him. I felt my stomach twist into a knot. Heat rose up my neck, spreading like fire under my skin. My sister Marina trusted this man with her life. She built a home with him, dreamed of children with him, believed in him. And here he was, swiping on Tinder like some bachelor looking for his next thrill. My first instinct was to screenshot immediately. My second, call Marina right away and tell her. But then, another thought snuck in, one I hated myself for. What if I need proof? What if she doesn't believe me? That's when the dangerous idea crept into my head. I could match with him. My hands trembled as I stared at the screen. I knew it was risky. I knew I'd have to play a part I didn't want to play. But the urge to catch him red-handed was stronger than my fear. I couldn't let him gaslight his way out of this. So, with a mix of fury and dread, I started building a fake profile. A borrowed picture, a made-up name, a carefully crafted bio that sounded flirty, but not desperate. My heart was pounding the whole time, like I was about to commit a crime. When the profile was ready, I swiped on him. And just like that, match. Instantly. As if he'd been waiting. I almost dropped my phone. My palms were sweaty, my throat dry, but my anger gave me courage. I typed the first message with shaking fingers. Hey. I cringed at myself, but I had to sell the role. Within seconds, his reply popped up. Smooth, charming, playful, like he didn't have a wife at home waiting for him. That was the moment I knew. This was real. This was happening. And it was only the beginning. After that first shocking match, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake in bed, my phone on the pillow beside me, replaying every word he had typed. It felt surreal, like I had just stepped into some twisted parallel reality where nothing made sense anymore. I should have stopped right there. I should have deleted the app, thrown my phone across the room, and called Marina in the morning. But I didn't. Because deep inside, curiosity was eating me alive. Why was he here? How far would he go? By morning, I had convinced myself I needed more evidence. Not just for me, but for Marina. If I went to her with nothing but screenshots of his profile, he could lie, manipulate, make me look paranoid. No, I had to be smarter than him. So, I doubled down. I polished my fake Tinder persona, choosing pictures that looked casual but attractive. I even gave her a name, Alina. She was confident, playful, and just enough of a mystery to catch his attention. And it worked. When I opened Tinder again, his messages were already waiting. "Good morning, gorgeous," flashed across the screen, and my stomach churned. He had no hesitation, no guilt, no trace of the man I thought I knew from family dinners. I played along, short replies, a teasing tone. The whole time my fingers were trembling, but I forced myself to keep going. The more he wrote, the more it became clear. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This was deliberate. He told me I had a beautiful smile from my photos. He asked what I liked to do on weekends. He dropped hints about meeting for coffee. Every line felt like another knife in my back, but I swallowed my disgust and typed back sweetly. Then, late that evening, I asked the question that had been burning on my tongue since the start. "So, are you single?" I stared at the screen, pulse racing, waiting. His reply came almost instantly. "No. I'm married." Just like that. No shame, no hesitation. My hands went cold. My heart slammed against my ribs. I thought I'd be prepared, but seeing it in words was like being punched in the chest. But before I could even process, he followed up with another message. "But it's complicated. My wife, she's been cheating on me. so I don't feel guilty about being here. I froze. My mind spun in circles. Cheating? Marina? My sister, the woman who cried over romantic movies, who believed in forever, who always defended him? Number. Impossible. And yet, a tiny crack of doubt opened in my chest. Because what if? That night, I sat staring at the ceiling, the weight of his words pressing down on me. I didn't know what was true anymore. But I knew one thing for sure. This was only getting darker. The next morning, I woke up with a heavy chest, as if I had carried his words into my dreams. My wife is cheating on me. They echoed over and over, sharp and poisonous. Part of me wanted to laugh at the absurdity. Marina, my sweet, loyal sister? But another part of me couldn't shake the unease. I decided to keep playing the role of Alina. If Kirill was lying, I needed to catch him in it. And if he was telling the truth? Well, I had to know. When I opened Tinder, there were already new messages from him. He wrote, like a teenager in love, long, eager texts filled with emojis and compliments. "Couldn't stop thinking about you last night," he typed. My stomach turned. I answered carefully, balancing flirtation with curiosity. Every word I sent felt like walking a tightrope. I had to stay believable, but not too eager. He seemed hooked already, but I wanted him to keep talking, to reveal more. By noon, he was already pushing. "When can we meet?" "I bet you're even prettier in person." "Let me take you somewhere nice." My fingers hovered over the keyboard. This was the point of no return. If I agreed to meet, I'd step into dangerous territory. If I refused, he might lose interest and vanish before I got what I needed. So I typed back, "Maybe soon. Let's talk a bit more first." That kept him happy. He opened up more, telling me about his job, his hobbies, even the stress he supposedly felt at home. Every detail sounded carefully chosen, as if he wanted to paint himself as the victim. He said Marina wasn't the same anymore, that she spent too much time with her coworkers, that she didn't look at him the way she used to. I wanted to scream. He was rewriting their marriage, turning her into the villain so he could justify himself. But then, doubt crept in again. Marina had been staying late at work more often lately. She had been glued to her phone during family dinners, smiling at messages she never explained. Was that proof? Or was I just poisoned by his lies? That night, I couldn't help myself. I watched Marina closely. She laughed at something on her phone, her eyes lighting up in a way I hadn't seen in months. When she caught me staring, she quickly put it down, her smile fading. For the first time, I wondered, what if Kirill wasn't completely lying? The thought made me feel sick. Because if Marina was unfaithful too, then what did that make me, sneaking behind her back, pretending to be someone else, playing a dangerous game with her husband? I didn't have the answer. But I knew one thing. This game wasn't over yet. Every time my phone buzzed, my pulse jumped. I told myself it was just part of the plan, that I needed to gather proof to protect Marina, but the truth was uglier. I was addicted to the danger, to the twisted thrill of pretending. Kirill didn't hold back. By now, our chats had turned openly flirtatious. He called Alina beautiful, mysterious, the kind of woman he had been searching for. He said things no husband should ever say to anyone but his wife. Each message was a reminder of how little Marina truly meant to him. And yet, I kept replying. I wrote playful lines, dropped teasing emojis, asked questions that nudged him deeper into exposing himself. Every word made me feel dirty, but I couldn't stop. If I pulled away now, he'd just disappear and keep living his double life. One evening, his tone shifted. His messages grew bolder, his compliments sharper. "I feel like I can trust you," he wrote. "You're so easy to talk to. It feels different with you, different." That word stuck in my chest like a thorn. He was comparing me, well, Alina, to Marina, his wife, my sister. The betrayal stung, even though I wasn't the one being cheated on. I typed back slowly, making sure to sound casual. "Why me?" "You don't even know me." His reply came instantly. "Because you make me feel alive." She doesn't anymore. I gritted my teeth, bile rising in my throat. It wasn't enough that he was lying to Marina. He had to twist the knife further, painting himself as the lonely husband, starved of affection, forced into the arms of another woman. But the more he talked, the more I noticed something chilling. He wasn't just looking for fun, he wanted validation. He wanted someone to tell him he was right, that he deserved this. And I realized I could use that need against him. So I played the role perfectly. I laughed at his jokes, I complimented him just enough. I asked him to tell me more about his sad marriage. He spilled everything, or at least what he wanted me to believe. He said Marina stayed out late, that she got dressed up for work like she was going on dates, that she locked her phone and smiled at messages when she thought he wasn't looking. Every sentence was a seed of doubt. And against my will, those seeds started sprouting. I wanted to scream at him, to defend Marina, but a voice in my head whispered, "What if he's telling the truth?" That night, I couldn't bear it anymore. I went into the kitchen where Marina was making tea. I watched her hum softly to herself, hair messy, face tired, but peaceful. She looked so ordinary, so innocent. Could that same woman be hiding a secret lover? I hated myself for even thinking it, but the more I played his game, the more reality began to blur. I told myself I was still in control, but deep down, I knew. The longer I stayed Alina, the closer I was getting to losing myself. By now, the mask had slipped completely. Kirill no longer bothered with subtle compliments or shy invitations. He was bold, direct, and reckless, like a man who believed he had nothing to lose. That night, after a long day, I curled up with my phone and opened Tinder. His messages poured in before I could even catch my breath. "Alina, I can't stop thinking about you. You're the kind of woman I've been missing. I feel like we've known each other forever." My fingers trembled as I typed back the question I'd been dancing around for days. "Why are you really here, Kirill? If you're married, why?" There was a long pause. For a moment, I thought he would vanish, that the illusion would collapse. But then the three little dots appeared, blinking, and his confession landed like a hammer. "Because my wife doesn't love me anymore. She's cheating on me. I know it." I read the words again and again, my stomach in knots. There it was. The ugly truth he had been circling around, now laid bare. I forced myself to play dumb. "Oh, I'm sorry. Are you sure?" His reply was instant, defensive. "Yes, I see the signs, the late nights, the phone she hides from me, the excuses. She doesn't touch me anymore. I'm just done pretending." My throat tightened. Every word was poison, dripping into my veins. He wasn't just justifying his betrayal, he was rewriting his whole marriage, turning Marina into the enemy. And worse. I couldn't shake the memory of Marina laughing at her phone the other night, the way she quickly turned the screen away when I glanced over. The seeds of doubt he planted were starting to take root. Still, I pressed further. "So, you think it's okay to cheat because she did first?" For a second, I almost hoped he'd back down, admit guilt. But instead, he doubled down. "I'm not cheating. I'm surviving. You don't know what it feels like to live with someone who looks at you like a stranger. She broke us first. I'm just taking back what's mine." My skin crawled. His words were so casual, so shameless. It was as if his betrayal wasn't betrayal at all, just revenge. I stared at his messages until the screen blurred through my tears. Part of me wanted to throw the phone across the room, to end this charade and run to Marina. But another part whispered, "What if he's right? What if she really is hiding something?" That night, I couldn't sleep. My heart was torn in two directions, fury at him, fear of what I might discover about her. The ugliest truth of all? I didn't know who to believe anymore. The next few days felt like living inside a storm. No matter what I did, whether I was at work, cooking dinner, or just trying to watch a movie, his words kept circling in my mind. "She's cheating on me." I wanted to dismiss it, to laugh at the ridiculousness. Marina, my own sister, who always talked about loyalty, about how love was sacred, number, impossible. And yet, I started noticing things I had never paid attention to before. Small things. Marina coming home later than usual, saying she stayed at the office to finish reports. The way she guarded her phone, tilting the screen away when a notification buzzed. The sudden nervous laughter when she got a call and stepped into another room. Maybe these were innocent habits. Maybe I was just seeing shadows because Kirill poisoned my thoughts. But once suspicion takes root, it grows like ivy, twisting around everything. I became obsessed. At dinner one night, I watched her stir her soup, absent-mindedly, her lips curving into a secret smile at some message. My heart pounded. "Who's texting you?" I asked too quickly. She blinked, startled, then shrugged. "Just a friend from work." She slipped her phone into her pocket. Her tone was light, but her eyes avoided mine. And suddenly, I felt dizzy. What if it's true? Later that evening, Kirill texted Alina again. He poured out more of his bitterness, painting Marina as cold, distant, unfaithful. I wanted to scream at him, to call him a liar. But my fingers hesitated over the keyboard, because deep down, a terrifying thought gnawed at me. What if I'm the one being lied to? not him. I started watching Marina more closely. Her new perfume, her carefully chosen dresses for work, her sudden insistence on going out with coworkers after hours. She wasn't careless, but when you're looking for signs, you find them everywhere. And yet each time I caught her humming softly in the kitchen or laughing at some silly TV show, I felt guilty. How could I doubt her? She was my sister. She raised me in some ways, protected me when we were kids. And now I was spying on her, building suspicions, like a stranger. But I couldn't stop. The worst part was, I had no one to turn to. I couldn't confront Marina, not without proof. And I couldn't expose Kirill yet, not while I was still tangled in this dangerous masquerade. So I lived between two realities. One where Marina was innocent, and he was the villain, and one where both of them were betraying each other in silence. And me? I was the silent witness, trapped between their lies. By now, my life had split into two versions of reality. In one, I was Lena, the loyal sister, trying to smile at family dinners, asking Marina about her day, pretending everything was normal. In the other, I was Alina, the mysterious stranger Kirill couldn't stop chasing. Switching between those two felt like living a double life, and it was exhausting. Kirill was relentless. Every morning, a stream of messages, good morning texts, little compliments, half-joking suggestions to meet. He confided in me, well, in Alina, about how lonely he felt, how Marina no longer cared. I wanted to claw the words right off the screen, but I kept playing along, asking questions, encouraging him to talk. Every time he opened up, I felt like I was gathering ammunition, proof, evidence, something Marina couldn't deny. And yet, when I looked at my sister, I found myself searching for cracks in her story too. One evening, while we were cooking dinner together, I decided to test the waters. "You've been working late a lot," I said casually, slicing vegetables. "Everything okay?" She glanced at me quickly, then smiled. "Yeah, we've just had a few big projects. Deadlines are killing me." Her answer was smooth, natural, too natural. "So, no new friends at work?" I pressed. Marina laughed softly, shaking her head. "Why, are you jealous?" "Don't worry, you're still my favorite." I forced a smile, but inside, I was unraveling. Every word she spoke, I twisted into suspicion. Meanwhile, Kirill kept feeding the fire. "She's never home," he told Alina one night. "Always with those coworkers. I know she's hiding something," I typed back. "How do you know for sure?" "Because I can feel it," he replied. "You don't live with someone for years and not notice when everything changes." His certainty scared me more than his lies. He spoke like a man who believed his own story, no matter how false it might be. And here I was, trapped in the middle. The double game was wearing me down. Pretending to be Alina meant flirting with a man I despised, letting him think he was winning me over. Pretending to be just Lena meant smiling at Marina while doubting her every move. Sometimes I looked at myself in the mirror and didn't recognize the girl staring back. My eyes were tired, my smile forced, my mind tangled in secrets that weren't even mine to keep. But I couldn't stop. Not yet. I was too deep. The only question was, how much further was I willing to go before everything collapsed? It happened faster than I expected. Kirill, feeling bold and confident, suggested we meet in person. At first, my instinct screamed no. I was playing a dangerous game already. Why risk it further? But curiosity got the better of me. I wanted to see him outside of a screen, to witness his behavior, to confirm what I already suspected. And maybe, deep down, I wanted to feel the power of being the one in control for once. I chose a small cafe downtown, quiet enough to avoid prying eyes. I told myself this was purely observation, nothing more. I would not let him manipulate me. I would not let him seduce me. When he walked in, my heart stopped. He was casual, charming, laughing with the barista, unaware, or pretending to be unaware, of the tension building in me. The man who smiled so warmly in family photos was the same man who had been writing me daily messages filled with deceit and longing. I sat at a corner table, pretending to check my phone. He glanced around, scanning the room, and then his eyes met mine. Recognition flashed, but not for long. He smiled politely, as if I were a stranger. The conversation began cautiously. "Alina?" he said, using the name I had given him. His tone was warm, teasing, full of charm. "I'm glad we finally met." I forced a small smile, taking a sip of coffee. "Yeah, me too." He leaned in slightly, talking about work, hobbies, life in general. But everything was carefully calculated, as if he was performing for me. He laughed at his own jokes, complimented my appearance subtly, and mentioned Marina just once, brushing her off casually. I noticed the way he moved, the way he laughed, the confidence in his voice. It was infuriating. He was playing both roles, the attentive husband at home, the charming rogue with me, and I was the unwilling audience to both. As the meeting progressed, I felt a mix of disgust, anger, and fascination. He was clever, dangerous, intoxicating. Every gesture, every word was a test of boundaries, and I was on the edge. By the time we left the cafe, I was exhausted. Not physically, but emotionally. I had glimpsed a side of him that few ever saw, a man who could charm anyone, lie effortlessly, and justify his actions without shame. Walking back home, I felt a chill. The game had changed. It was no longer about messages or screenshots. It was about reality. And reality was terrifying. I realized with a sinking feeling that seeing him in person had given him more power than I ever anticipated. After the cafe meeting, I couldn't stop thinking about Kirill. Seeing him in person changed everything. He wasn't just words on a screen anymore. He was real, tangible, and even more manipulative than I imagined. That night, I made a decision. I couldn't stay in this game any longer. I had to confront him, directly, clearly, without any masks. I opened Tinder and typed, "Kirill, we need to talk. I know everything." The three dots appeared almost immediately. My heart raced. "I'm listening," he replied. I took a deep breath. Every word that followed was carefully measured. I revealed that I wasn't just some girl he matched with randomly, that I had been observing him because I suspected his lies. His reaction was a mix of surprise and irritation. "You set this up?" he asked, a faint smirk tugging at his lips. "Impressive, but unnecessary." "Unnecessary?" I typed, my fingers trembling. "You're married, Kirill. You shouldn't even be here. And yet you are. Flirting. Lying. Betraying my sister." He paused before replying, his tone shifting. "Lena, you don't understand. She's been distant for months. I didn't know what else to do." "I understand perfectly," I shot back. "And this isn't the way. You don't get to manipulate everyone around you to justify your actions." For a moment, silence. Then he admitted more than I expected, that he knew he had hurt Marina, that he was angry and lonely, and that he had let his bitterness drive him to Tinder. His words were casual, almost rehearsed, but the guilt was there, faintly, beneath the surface. I felt a mix of emotions, anger, disgust, and a strange pity. He was not innocent, but he wasn't entirely devoid of conscience either. I ended the conversation with one final warning. You need to tell her the truth. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now. Before it's too late. He didn't respond for a long time. When he finally did, it was just one word. Fine. I leaned back in my chair, exhausted. The confrontation was over, but the fallout was only beginning. I realized then that no matter what happened next, the delicate balance of our family's lives had been shattered, and I had played a part in it. For the first time, I questioned not just Kirill, but myself. How far had I gone? How much had I lost of my own innocence while trying to protect my sister? The truth was coming, and there was no going back. The following morning, I couldn't put it off any longer. The confrontation with Kirill had left a residue of tension I couldn't ignore. I knew I had to tell Marina the truth, everything. No more games, no more pretending. I found her in the kitchen, sipping coffee as the early sunlight streamed through the window. She looked so peaceful, so ordinary, so unaware of the storm that had been raging behind my eyes. My throat tightened, but I forced myself to speak. "Marina, we need to talk," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She frowned, concern knitting her brow. "About what?" "About Kirill. About what he's been doing." Her face went pale, and I saw that familiar spark of trust, the one that makes someone believe they will always know what's coming. I swallowed hard. I told her everything. How I found him on Tinder, how I created a fake profile, how he matched and flirted with me. I showed her the messages, the screenshots, everything. I watched her reaction closely. Shock, confusion, hurt, disbelief. "Kirill, he told me. He said you were cheating on him," I added, my voice soft but firm. "I don't know if it's true, but you deserve to hear what's been happening." Marina's eyes widened. "What? No. I would never." "I know you wouldn't," I interrupted gently. "I don't know if he's lying to cover himself or if there's something else going on. But you have to hear it from me first." We sat there, the air thick with tension. She didn't speak at first, just stared at me, processing. Then slowly, carefully, she asked questions about what he had said, what he had done, what I had seen. I answered honestly, without embellishing, without judgment. By the end of it, she was quiet, tears brimming in her eyes. But there was also clarity, a painful, uncomfortable clarity. She knew she had to confront him herself, and I knew I had done my part, however messy it had been. Later that day, Marina confronted Kirill. I wasn't present, but I heard everything through her texts and calls. There were apologies, excuses, tears, and revelations. It wasn't neat. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. As for me, I finally closed the fake profile. Alina was gone, and with her, the weight of deception I had carried. I felt exhausted, yes, but also relieved. I had faced the lies, protected my sister, and reclaimed a piece of myself. Sitting alone that evening, I realized something important. Sometimes the truth is messy, painful, and complicated, but it is always better than living in shadows. And for the first time in weeks, I allowed myself to breathe. The storm had passed, but I knew the scars would remain. Yet even in the aftermath, there was hope. For honesty, for trust, and for the kind of love that didn't require games or secrets. That's the end of this story. Stay tuned for the next one.